Right, and hello everyone, welcome back to Made by Boo. My name is Shannon and I have quite a bit today. First, I'm going to apologize. I hope the lights don't glare too much in my glasses. I normally don't like to wear them while filming just because lights glare and I feel like you can't see half of my face, but my contact lenses were just not working today. And I knew if I didn't wear anything, I'd have a headache at the end of this recording. So kind of had to pick and choose my battles there. I have quite a bit today. I've got a pile of finished objects next to me. 5 works in progress over there, some new yarn acquisitions. And this time it's not just knitting and crochet, so I have a little bit of sewing in there as well. So I'm going to go ahead and dive right in with my finished projects. 2 of these you have already seen. The rest of them will be brand new. So first I'll start off with my finished socks. So these are from the Cozy Knitter. It is the 2023 Advent 24 stripe Advent socks. So the skeins that it came with had 48 stripes in each skein, so you could make either like a single pair of socks with a pattern, a stripe repeat, or 2 pairs of socks. I opted for 2 pairs of socks. The first pair I made during Advent, and the second pair I just finished right now. They don't entirely fit on my sock blockers. I really like these ones. I think I just got them with a magazine once, but I like that, you know, it's wire, you can put your hand through so they dry really well. But if I make really tall socks, I end up with that little funny bit up at the top that doesn't block quite right. Not actually that important, but these ones are for my mom. So I made the first pair for me, second pair for my mom, just because this rainbow, I know she's absolutely gonna love it, and she is not a knitter herself, so whenever I knit her socks, she loves it, and I'm trying to hurry up. After I'm done filming these today, I'm gonna get them packaged up so they can go out into the mail as soon as possible so that hopefully my mom can still wear them before it gets too warm. I'm in Idaho, she is in California, so it may already be too warm for her, but she'll still have cozy feet when she's ready for them. So I did 20 rounds of a 1x1 rib, just a very simple vanilla sock, heel flap and gusset. For my own socks, I did part for the heel, like a stripe earlier, but my mom has smaller feet than I do. And then I did a rounded toe, this nice neutral color. It is the mini skeins that came with it when I ordered it, and I have a little bit left from it. But yeah, that is just a vanilla sock using the 2023 Advent from a Cozy Knitter. And I know my mom will be very excited to get those. The other one that you have already seen, this is my emotional support chicken. This is a pattern from the Knitting Tree. Let me double check that. I don't know why I'm suddenly doubting myself on this. The Knitting Tree LA, it's taking a moment to load. Oh my goodness. Yeah, the Knitting Tree LA, I believe I have a link down below. They do sell them as kits where you can get the yarn, I think it's everything but the needles. I just bought the pattern, the yarn kits that they had. None of the ones they had in stock were ones I was really excited about, and so I just decided to use yarn from my stash, which is probably a smarter move for me personally anyways. My kids and I have kind of named this my emotional support chicken because it's got the nice little rainbow, but definitely the black lipstick and all of that, black mohawk. I decided not to do the little waddle on mine just because I didn't want it there. And it has 1 blue eye and 1 green eye because I let my 6-year-old pick the eyes. And then to go with that one is Another emotional support chicken. This one is for my 6-year-old. She picked out 2 blue eyes for hers. This is using a Lion Brand mandala. I do not remember what color. I gave the leftover yarn away to another child, so I don't have the label for that anymore. And then I have some black sparkle of the Juicy Couture velour yarn. And I just I wound off a little bit of each individual color in between. So like I'd go up here and then wound off a little bit so that we're now at the end of that color into the next one, wound off a little bit so that we have some green, but then we're going into the purple. And I kind of stopped doing that to do a lot of the purple up here because my child really does like purple. But then made sure to get some yellow for the beak and wound off to get some pink for that, just to give it a lot of color variation. She is very excited for me to be done filming so that she can have this chicken, because I knew getting it back from her would be a struggle. So I have 2 rainbow and black emotional support chickens ready to support all of our needs. So yeah, 2 of my finished objects are emotional support chickens from the Knitting Tree LA. Honestly, it was a lot of fun, and I really I like the idea of playing with the colors and doing some of my other stash yarns. I like the idea of using like some of my leftover fingering weight yarn and having fun with that. But I also have a lot of other projects I want to work on, so I'm going to take a break from chickens, but you never know, you may see this pattern again. The next finished object I have is a small one. I kind of needed a break from the chickens already, and so this was what I did. I grabbed a kit. I love kits in general. And I ordered several kits from the Woobles around Halloween. My middle child has recently taken up crochet, so she stole 2 of them, and one she made for herself, the other one she made for a sibling who was going to get that one anyway, so she made the ghost for herself and the bat for my oldest, and then I told her she was absolutely not allowed to steal this one because this one was mine. This is Steve the Frankenstein. I don't know if I'll actually call him Steve or if he's just going to be Frank. I don't know. Frankenstein is one of my favorite classics, so anytime there's a Frankenstein, I get dibs in this household. I think it took me 2 days to crochet him. The Woobles kits, they're always very, very simple and enjoyable. I don't think this yarn is one I would pick outside of the kits, but it's nice and sturdy for little plushies like this. It's not quite as soft as, like, say, the chicken, but it's also not, you know, it's not the same size for cuddling. I feel like the Woobles ones, I make them and they sit around on shelves in my house, so I don't mind if it's not soft and squishy, but I absolutely love him. I think he came out adorable. I don't know if that's focusing on him or not, but I may take him to work and have him sit on my desk, but even then the kids like to come in and play with the stuff on my desk, and I would be heartbroken if something happened to him, so we'll see where he ends up. The last finished object I have is sewing. So this is not an overly exciting project to look at. So when I made him, I used the crochet hook that came with the kit because I really just wanted something to grab and go, and I don't know why I did that. I know certain crochet hooks are going to hurt my wrist more, and my wrist was a little sore, so last weekend I decided I am going to do some sewing. I've been wanting to sew. It's been a while since I've done any sewing. It's something I just got out of the habit of when I was studying, and before that I spent a year working on a quilt where it was like, I'm going to do this. It was a big quilt. I finished it, and then I just kind of stopped. And I've sewn a few things here and there since then, but not anything big. And I decided I was going to sew again, and one of the things I pulled out was a kit to make a table runner. So they sell these kits at Craft Warehouse. I think it's based in the Pacific Northwest. I want to say when I looked in that, like, it was also in Washington and Oregon. I don't know where it's based. But as far as I'm aware, like, we have one in Idaho, which I know is not really Pacific Northwest, but if the company is in the Pacific Northwest, it would make sense that the places that are like neighbors to that might have them as well before other places. I'm not 100% sure where Craft Warehouse is based, but it's a chain, but it's not like a national chain yet as far as I'm aware. Anyways, that was a really long explanation, but they tend to put together a lot of like quick fabric kits to make tote bags, pillowcases. I got some kits from them to make like those microwave bowl cozies, and this is the third kit from them I've got to make a table runner. And you basically get the 2 fabrics and a quick instructions on how to do it, and this is their 10-minute table runner. I honestly don't know who the actual designer of this pattern is because it just came with the kits that come out of the store. I think I have a copy of the pattern somewhere. I didn't even read the pattern that came with this one because I've made it a couple of times. I knew what to do and I was making some alterations. The basics of it is you have this fabric, and then your back fabric is, I don't know, 3 or 4 inches longer. So you seam up here and seam on the other side. So you have a tube, flip it right side out, and then in the pattern you're supposed to like go down like that and make it go to a tip, which I have done on other ones. This one I decided to just fold under and make it a rectangle. And it's such a quick, easy project. I have a video on the channel where it's just kind of almost a speed run, time-lapse kind of thing of me making one. It's, like I said, it's not my pattern, so that video is not really a tutorial or anything. And it's one of those where it's like, even without the measurements, you have one fabric, make the other fabric like maybe 5 inches longer, so it'll wrap around both sides, and you get a table runner. There's no batting or anything in it. Like, it's genuinely a super quick decorative piece for your table. And of course, because it's super quick, you can like wash it 1,000 times too and not feel bad about it. You don't have to worry about like severe quilting on it to make sure that the batting doesn't go out. It's not really going to do insulation on your table for like hot pans, but it'll just be a nice decorative piece. And since it's so simple, you can adjust the size. I've considered adjusting the size of this to make Alright, so with my works in progress, this is kind of a half-finished object, but it does finish off the sewing for the week. I made a quilt top. So, years ago, I made a whole bunch of quilts. I know that technically speaking, different people have different definitions of quilts. For me, it's just whatever blanket I sew, and then I usually do sew it to the batting and the back, like at home on my machine. I don't send most of them off to be quilted on a long arm just because it's incredibly expensive. It takes the time away, and I'm usually fine with what I can do on my home machine. So whether or not this meets your definition of a quilt, that's what I call it. You can think of it as a blanket, whatever. I don't think I'm going to be able to show all of this, but we will see what I'm able to get in the frame. So this is just some fabric I haven't had in stash. I think I may have got it from Missouri Quilt or Missouri Star. This was a jelly roll and a matching layer cake that I took the jelly roll and I kind of divided it between the lighter ones and the darker ones. So there was ones that were like light and yellows, and then there was ones that were very solidly blue or like a dark blue. And I kind of rotated them in so that I had strips of 5 in a row. Then I trimmed those down to squares, sewed them with the layer cakes so that I had squares that were half jelly roll stripes, half layer cake, and then trimmed them all out to be even, laid them out until basically just trying to make sure I didn't have too much of like, oh, well, this color leads right into this color that are the same or anything like that. I mean, it was really improvised. I didn't have like a very clear plan when I was doing it. And it is, these are, I think about 8.5 to 9 inches. When I was trimming them, I trimmed them down to 9 inches to make them all even, and then I sewed them together. So they're probably about 8.5, and it is an 8 by 8 square, because it's just how many squares I ended up with. It was 64, and it was like, oh, well, that will perfectly make a square. And yeah, that's what happens when you completely improvise it and you don't really have a big plan. I don't even know what I'm going to do for the back of it yet, because it was just, my wrist hurts. I want to sew. Look at these fabrics. They go together, and I bought them with the idea that eventually I'd turn them into a blanket. Let's just go. I do have some squares from the layer cake left over. Not enough to do a back or anything, obviously. Yeah, it's very much improvised, and it's very hard to show the whole thing on camera. At some point this will be a full quilt, and I mean, being, let's see, 8.5 times 8, so that's 64 inches, so it's a little over 5 feet by 5 feet. It's not really a lap blanket. It's definitely not a bed-sized blanket of any size. To me, it's just kind of like a nice cuddle blanket. It'll be big enough that if you're sitting down, you could like pull it all the way up, scrunch up underneath it. At least for me at my height. I honestly don't know what I'm doing with it. Years ago, I went through a huge quilt making phase, I guess. We were living somewhere where it was very cold, and I just started making quilts all the time. And I still have all of them, or most of them, and we don't do much with most of them. I probably should go through them and get rid of the ones that I don't use, because somebody will use it. But sometimes you just gotta make a blanket, and you don't necessarily have a reason to make it. You're just making it to make something. So I don't know if it's something that'll go in this chair here, if it's something that will go on my couch. I don't know if I will realize it was meant to belong to somebody. I genuinely don't have a strict plan on that. I just felt like sewing, and now I have a quilt top, and I need to, I'm really hoping I have something in my stash to make a good quilt back. I know I rambled on a lot about that, but I mean, with an improvised project like that where I had zero plan for it, I definitely feel like there's a little bit more of like almost justifying it to myself. Like, I don't know why I did that. That was weird. But I'm happy I did it anyways. And I like the nice bright cheery blues and yellows. I'm not usually a big yellow person. My mom is, and I did consider sending that to her, but she also has limited space, so I don't know. I could still send it to her. We'll see. By the next time this comes around, hopefully I'll have it backed and quilted and bound, but we will see, because, I mean, I really only have time to do that on the weekend, so if I have to go searching for a quilt back next weekend, I may run out of time to do that before I film again. I don't know. I need to stop rambling about that one. It's making me happy right now, and it's definitely making me want to quilt a little bit more again. I do have some squares that I started doing paper piecing, little like diamonds and bright colors. I'm trying to calculate, it's got to have been at least 10 years ago. And for whatever reason, I have 13 of them. They were all done using scraps from other stuff, but just like solid colored scraps. And at one point, the plan was to make enough of them to make like a full-size bed blanket. And for whatever reason, I just kind of stopped. I still have the pattern. I still have the scraps. I could make more, but I kind of decided I'm just going to call it and finish the blanket top with what I have. I thought about doing it as a 3x4. But I may do some adjustments and then using the like last one as like a doll quilt or something. But I may even make an adjustment and see if I can use all 13 to do like 4-5-4 with spacers in there to make it a little bit different. I don't know. Whatever I decide, we'll see on here eventually. I also have a kit to make a llama quilt. that I really want to do. And I do have some squares for a quilt that I've been putting off for years. It's using squares made from my brother's shirts. My brother died about 15 years ago now, and when he died I took all of his shirts and I made my mom a gigantic quilt using most of them, but I kept every bit of those shirts because they were part of my brother. And at one point I cut some of the leftovers up and I made a quilt for my sister out of them, and I saved the other parts of those squares to make a lap-size quilt for me. A couple of years ago I took the sleeves and I made ornaments, just little circles for everybody in my family. I have like a bunch of them that I made where like I made them as ornaments so people could put them on their Christmas trees, but also like I could just keep one hanging in my car. My kids squeeze them. And all that is left of those shirts is the squares to make a blanket for me. And I've been struggling with actually making it. I think it's just because when I make it, they're done. So that's one of those things where I kind of like to make that now because it means more as a blanket than it does squares in a Ziploc bags hidden in a box. So that's kind of my sewing thoughts and plans. Definitely went off on a tangent I was not expecting to. So let me get back to the yarn and the making. So yeah, there will be some more quilting stuff coming up just because I'm enjoying it again, and why not? For now, what I have been working on, this is a very, very simple one because I just started it yesterday. There's like next to no work on it. I had a bunch of bags where I gave my kids some bags and some yarn and said, hey, put a sock set in each bag, and then I picked it randomly. I let my daughter pick out this bag. And the yarn that was in it was from Muse 2320. This was part of the Troop 2320 sock sets from last year in the color Icebreaker. So I do have them inside little sleeves. I need to sew myself some of these. It's just t-shirt fabric, so I think I can. So we've got the nice like icy blue here, and then this, it's like a very, very dark navy, almost black. And this is why I said this is not very exciting to show, because this is literally all I have. I have 3 rounds to do a pop of color and then 2 rounds of the main color, which mainly just shows that I've got the cuff started. I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do with those, other than I wanted to do the pop of color, and I'll probably do a contrast heel and toe. I may do just a contrast heel or toe, I'm not sure yet. I'll probably make them a little tall because it's still a little cold. I'm still enjoying making the taller socks. I keep thinking I need to start doing like some shorter skimmer socks and things like that to prepare for the warmer weather, because I feel like I'm always a season behind. Like, I want to knit a sweater because it's cold outside, but then by the time it's done, it's warm outside. So I kind of need to plan a little bit better with my knitting, but for these, I think I want to do one more long pair, and then maybe we'll see with the next socks if I want to do a shorter one. The other work in progress that has gotten a chunk of love here is my Cozy Comfort Throw. So this pattern is by a Homespun House, and I am knitting it up using the 2022 Advent Calendar from Mothy and The Squid. I did rearrange it so that it's like in kind of a rainbow order versus the order it came in. And I am holding it double with Knit Picks Stroll fingering weight, so it's just a bare yarn. So let me flip it around here. This is where I was last time, like the first time I showed it. Here's where I was the last time I showed it. I just kind of wanted to see the comparison a little bit. I don't know why. I'm probably just going to put another one in after I film today and just kind of see like when I have a good chunk of time and when I don't have a good chunk of time. I am now on the 7th color stripe. Sorry, I talked so long that time, my camera decided to tell me to shush. So this is a nice comforting one because it's just garter stitch. It makes it a nice mindless project. As long as I can work on it for at least 15 to 20 minutes, I get a row or two. I feel like I've timed how long a row takes me, but I don't remember. But yeah, it's a nice simple pattern. I really enjoy it, and it's nice and squishy. I'm trying not to stress myself out too much about how long it's taking, because I know, logically speaking, that this is not going to be done when I actually want it. I want it to be done when it's cold out. And here in Idaho, we did get a little bit of snow over the last week. Like, it snowed in the morning and then was dried up by the afternoon. But we have been steadily getting warmer. We haven't even had a lot of snow this year. And I mean, looking at that project, that's about a month or so of work. So the only way that it would definitely be done while it's still cold enough to want a thick blanket like that is if I manage to finish it in the next 2 or 3 weeks. And even then, you never know. Weather can be changeable. So I know it's not going to be done for this winter, and I'm trying to remind myself that that is okay. Just take my time, maybe even consider allowing it to be put on the back burner at one point or another. We shall see. I'm not very good at being patient with my projects still. I really like them to be constantly going, oh man. It looks like my microphone was not recording for a little bit of that, so we'll see what the audio is like in that little section. I guess we'll really get a good difference between the new microphone and no new microphone. But yeah, I do like process making, but I also like product making, and lately all I've wanted to make is long-term projects, things that I'm not going to finish really quickly, which I have 2 more of those to show that I've each gotten a little bit of work. So I may end up putting that one aside for a little bit and then picking it back up. Since it is just garter stitch, I feel like it's something that if I have to put it aside, I'm not going to forget the pattern. Like, it's easy. But I'm also really loving the way the colors are working up and everything, so maybe I won't want to put it away. My other 2 projects, I have one just a little out of reach. So this one I did show a couple of weeks ago. It didn't get a lot of work, but it did get some. So this is my Geogradiant. I've got my little coffee drinking fox right there. I'm still on Clue 2. This is using yarn from So Happy Jane. It was a bunch that came in her So Happy Yarn Club. Oh my gosh. Hand-dyed Happy Yarn Club. There we go. And I have a bunch of those collected because I like her yarns and I love getting yarn mail randomly. And these ones I felt like paired up to make a really nice, kind of got that wintry, icy, gloomy vibe, but I love it. So I'm halfway through Clue 2, and then I needed to pick up to do Clue 2 on the other side and kind of lost a little bit of steam and just, I don't know. I know once I pick it up, it'll be fine. I am liking the way this is working up. I know I have heard there's going to be some things in Clue 3 that a lot of people aren't thrilled about. I don't know. If this is another one of those ones where I want it done now, but also like it's going to take me a little while. So yeah, I did lose a little bit of steam on this. I'm not sure if I'm going to work too hard on this one right now, or if I'm just going to set it aside for a little bit before I do the other side of Clue 2. Because I did start working again on another one, and now I kind of really want to work on this one and make a lot of progress on this one. This is one I haven't talked about in a while, so if you're newer here, you may not have heard of it. I'm doing this one using Cascade Heritage Yarns. And this is what I call my data blanket. So if you are new here and you have no idea what I'm talking about with this, in October, I passed an exam and became a BCBA. that is not totally relevant to this, but during all of my studying to pass that exam for this new job, I took a lot of tests, and one of the ways I kept myself motivated was I was writing down the scores of all of those tests I took. And I actually have two different kinds of tests that I was taking. This is one company's set of tests, and I'm going to do a separate one for the other company's set of tests. That one will be in greens. So the last time I showed it, this is where I was. This is just a single crochet all the way across. Each test is one row, except like here on this 2 rows of black, that was a bigger practice exam that I took. And I have a separate set of colors for those. Any of those bigger practice exams are going to be 2 rows of single crochet. It's definitely a nice soothing thing to work on, but being fingering weight, single crochet, and having each row be a different, slightly unpredictable color, it takes a little while. That's the wrong side for this. I did block out after I hit that first set through of everything. I soaked it, blocked it to see about how much it may grow, so I definitely know what I was doing with making it and all of that. And I will say this Cascade Heritage yarn, it got so much softer. Like, I'm so excited with the way that it's turning out. I've just really begun to realize lately, fingering weight yarn crocheted for shawls and blankets, love the drape. I mean, I really like working with fingering weight yarn. My stash has a lot of fingering weight yarn, but I used to always think of it as just like a sock yarn. The more I work on these various shawls and blankets in fingering weight, and I mean, with the Cozy Comfort, I guess it's technically DK weight, I'm just realizing I love the drape. And I mean, I do have this one here, which it always sits in this chair, and I mean, like, it's double crocheted hexes using fingering weight, and it's just gorgeous. And it's like, they take a long time because fingering weight yarn, but it's definitely reminding me I need more of these, and it makes me excited to work on them because they're just so cozy. I feel like my works in progress definitely had a lot of ramble and a lot of detours in that. So let me go ahead and grab my acquisitions and see if I can get myself back on track here. All right, so acquisitions. I have, as usual, more than I need. I really need to work faster on things. But as I was just saying that I love fingering weight yarn for lots of things, luckily my box does have primarily fingering weight yarn. So I do have, there we go. I have a few things that are subscription boxes or pre-orders, so I will try to make sure you know what they are ahead of time, because these are things where the colors that came, you wouldn't have known what the color is until it arrives at your house. So I will let you know what those are as they come up. They should have all had plenty of time to arrive at people's house before this. I do have a Yarnable, which I've had sitting here for at least a week, and I'm not one of the first people who usually get it. I also have the first of the Mysterious Cabin from Les Garçons. I'm in Idaho, and they're shipping out from Vancouver, I believe. So I'm probably not one of the first ones to get that. And then I also did have a pre-order from Forbidden Fiber, I believe. Let me double check that. I had a pre-order for a Princess Bride themed, yeah, from Forbidden Fiber, for a Princess Bride themed Valentine's Day set. So if any of those were ones that you pre-ordered or ordered or anything like that and you have not yet received, I will say what they are before I show the yarn, but I feel like most of them have been sitting at my house long enough that you should have had a good chance to get them. So the first one I have is not a pre-order, it's just a I had an idea in my head and somebody actually had it. I keep kind of wanting to rewatch the show Supernatural, and somehow it was one of those where I was like, ooh, I wonder if there's any yarn based on it. And I couldn't find a lot, but Lady Pearl has this one that is the colorway Winchester Boys. And it's nice blues and grays, and it is going to make a great pair of socks at some point, or who knows, maybe it'll be a part of something else. But yeah, it was one of those where it was like, I don't know if I'm actually going to rewatch that show or not, because it is a 15-season show. So that is a huge commitment to make. But that doesn't mean I won't. And until then, or if I do, I will have this along the way. The next one I have on here, I will show. Right on top is Yarnable, and this is the Yarnable for the month of, oh my gosh, why can I not remember what month we're in? February. So let me see what we have in here. I'll start with the extras. So there was a passion fruit punch tea. It's a tea pop, I guess, so it's like a lollipop thing you put in there. I don't know. I like tea, so I will try this and we'll see what it's like. There is a lotion bar. I haven't actually smelled this. Oh, there's something over the top. Oh, there it is. Oh, that smells really good. So this is from Anna Soaps. Definitely something nice when you're dealing with wool a lot. And then the last thing, I guess there was 2 different options in this, because I did see on the Crazy Sock Lady podcast that she got the other one. I don't remember what her quote was, but I like this one. And it says, do more of what makes you happy, which I think is a reminder that we all always need. So those were the little extras this month. And the yarn, I really loved this one. I say that like I didn't love a lot of the others. I love these very much. This is the color Love is Love. I get just one skein on the plush sock, but look at that. It's like mermaid. With the aqua, the purple, the pink, like this is absolutely gorgeous. At some point this will become a pair of socks. I know that some people, when they get these kind of subscriptions, they try to knit them up in the month they get them. I'm just not that fast with socks and everything. Socks tend to be my car project, and that's about it. And while I'd really like to get a little faster on things like that so that I could make more, I also try to be realistic that like I want to make more than just socks. So I may end up casting on an extra pair of socks at some point, but you never know. So the next one I have is from Les Garçons, and this is the Mysterious Cabin. I know it's not going to focus really well, but this is the inspiration picture that it came with. So the first month is the tiny little cat from the picture. So here's the sticker and the enamel pen. So in this picture, they've got like 3 different animals. So since the first one is this cat, I'm kind of guessing that we'll get this dog, and they have like 3 of this little bat around here as well. I'm kind of hoping that we will get the bat, but we shall see. So yeah, this first color is Mysterious Cat, and Kirby's pink, and it's covered in my hair. And there's just a little sock stitch marker on there. And I mean, I'm not always much of a brown person, but I think that these are going to be nice and cozy. I like that it's got kind of like a soft pink with it. It's gorgeous. And it does smell really good. I know that's a weird thing to say, but sometimes yarns can come through a little dusty. Other times they come through where they really just smell like a really nice wash. But yeah, I've been seeing these mysterious clubs for a while, and I always like the colors because they're they seem to be like deep, but not always excessively bright. And I feel like you don't always get those dark, moody, mysterious colors in the clubs. Those clubs, a lot of the times I see them as being bright colors, and I'm not always a bright color person. I mean, I may love the Mermaid Yarnable, but I also love the muted colors. I've been kind of wanting to get in on those for a while. I may do another one. This is only the first color, so we shall see how I feel as they go on, but it's nice and soft. And it's a BFL wool, which a lot of times you get merino and things. I like both. I don't know. So the last acquisition I have here is my Princess Bride box from Forbidden Fibers. Make sure I don't accidentally show my home address. So I was really excited about this because I love the Princess Bride. And they definitely delivered on this. So there is a yarn and several extras. Let me get the little card out because they had good reasons for everything they put in. So the first one is the yarn, and this is the color Humperdinck. Then they had a couple of little buttons. I don't know why I'm trying to show buttons in a black bag. So one is a 6-fingered hand, and the other says, Marriage, what brings us together today. I may snip off the little clips on this and turn them into magnets just because that's something I will use personally a little bit more. But there is some stitch stoppers that are little hearts. Let's see, there is dark chocolate covered almonds in order to be Miracle Max's Magic Pills. There are Progress Keepers in here, which is, there's a dagger, a goblet, and a vial of iocane powder, also known as white glitter. A chapstick, because is this a kissing book? There is a 10 for a needle case or notions case. I don't tend to use 10s for a notion case just because you get that noise in your bag, but I will find a use for that because it says, hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. And then the last thing that it came with is this project bag that says inconceivable, not capable of being imagined or grasped mentally, unbelievable, or not what you think it means. And on the little zipper pull is little beads and a tiny peanut, which just the details and all of that, like, I was so excited about that bag. I mean, it's a silly thing, but like I said, the detail on that. So that is all my acquisitions. I have a feeling my battery is about to die again, so let me readjust before we finish up. All right, so I have already rambled a little bit here. Rambled a lot, so I'll try to keep this last section concise for this time. Sometimes I record and I'm just in a rambling mood, I guess. Most of the time. So, life stuff, we've been a little bit busy, a little bit chaotic. Last weekend was my daughter's birthday. She turned 16, so we went out and did a little bit for that, which for her was just, she wanted to go to the bookstore, go out to sushi, keep it simple. We're not really much of a like going out all the time family. Most of the chaos I think was just like work, where it was paperwork that was behind, assessments that were behind, always feeling behind. And I had a lot of headaches going on over the last couple of weeks. I don't know if it was the weather change, something I ate. I did end up chopping my hair a little bit. Not incredibly exciting there. And then I did finish reading, I'm saying a lot. Oof. I did finish reading the books I was reading, so I the last time we spoke, I was reading the book The Paper Magician by Charlie N. Holmberg. I really have to be better at opening these up ahead of time. So it was the first in a series. So it was The Paper Magician, The Glass Magician, and The Master Magician. Yeah, Charlie N. Holmberg. I'd read that collection before. I already knew I liked it, and it was just kind of an I want to read again. I don't know exactly what I want, and that kind of served a vibe, I guess. I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to read next. After finishing that, the app I was using to listen and read to those books, Everand, it instantly had some recommendations for me. A couple of them I've already read before, and some of them are new, so I may pick one of those just because it'll have that same, like, vibe, energy, whatever. I haven't entirely decided which one. I will probably pick that later this afternoon. And really, I mean, I felt like this life part was going to have so much more, but it's really just kind of been chaotic at work where I've been feeling behind. I probably wasn't as behind as I felt like I was, but when you have a lot of things, a lot of paperwork and things like that that are due at the same time, it makes it very easy to feel like you're behind on everything. And, I mean, of course, when there's a lot of those things going on, I feel like it does affect my making, where you want to make more because you want something that is completely and totally within your control, and even if your paperwork is technically within your control, it doesn't always feel that way. But at the same time, you know, if you just ignore your responsibilities and only do these other things, then these other things never get done. Or your responsibilities never get done. Maybe a little bit of both. But yeah, not a lot of really fun stuff going on. Just a couple of weeks of chaos at work. But we did get to take the break to celebrate my child's birthday. And I got to read it a little bit. So there's that. That is the nice thing sometimes with paperwork. I can't, like, read a book while I'm doing some of these kinds of paperwork, but sometimes, depending on what kind of paperwork it is, I can at least listen to an audiobook as well to kind of tune out the everything else. But it also depends on what kind of paperwork I'm doing. Some things you just have to focus a different way on, and that's not going to work. Or you realize you just focus completely on your work, and that's good, but you also have no idea what happened in your book, and you have to go back and re-listen. So there's that. So that's all I have for this week. It's been a very rambly week. I mean, yeah, I guess recovering from all that chaos at work. I still got some more to do next week where there's things to finish, things I feel like I'm behind on, and things that are starting over, but it'll be fine, and it'll all get done. And when it's too chaotic, I can just pick up some of my knitting and find that calm. I mean, who knows, maybe I will start something that is just a project I keep in my desk at work. Maybe that's what I need to do for those moments. Until then, until next time, have a happy making. Hopefully I will be a little bit less rambly and a little more coherent next time we come around. Thank you. Have a great making.